Hi guys, welcome or welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. It's so greatly appreciated. It truly, truly is. Please like, subscribe, and comment if you haven't yet and you feel so inclined to, because it really helps me out and I really, really appreciate it. So today we are going back down the Reddit rabbit hole with a brand new story, confronting my husband while he's on vacation with his mistress. I haven't read this yet, so I am going into it with you guys right now, completely blind for the very first time. My ex finally started to look relieved now at the idea of her and I having a chat. And I already promised myself that I won't speak badly about him to her. So now I could look forward to her spending 48 hours with him and our kids. Now she can see the short temper and lack of patience that he has, and it's going to be incredibly difficult for him to keep up his Father of the Year act. Plus, I'm sure my kids will give me an entire play by play of this visit, so I'm excited for it. Futile friends. On Sunday, I was home alone with a glass of white wine in hand and replaying the entire morning in my head. As I sipped, I let the interaction play out in my mind and I tried to analyze the scenario. My interpretation was that she would be stunned, he would be floored, my kids would be indifferent, and I would be victorious. I was pleased with my behavior and felt that there wasn't much more that could have been done. She would leave Monday evening, and it would be the same time till her and I spoke again. Then, almost as if prompted by God Himself, my phone pings. Random number with a strange area code, so my heart drops. I knew it was her. I stared at the phone without opening it for probably an entire minute. Perhaps she would just be apologizing or maybe even thanking me for something. But then I thought, oh my God, are my kids okay? Or perhaps she would have questions or concerns about him or want me to be an ally for her. I knew after opening that text, no matter what it said, things were never going to be the same again. Simple, right? Straight to the point, a message of thanks. I took away some of her worry and fear, and yet none of my emotions have changed. But then I remembered I'm not wrong here. I don't need anyone to tell me it's okay because I am not to blame. So her and I spoke a bit more. By the end of the conversation, I kind of felt sorry for her, to be honest. She has no idea what she is getting herself into with him. She thinks he is her knight in shining armor, but little does she know, she's going to have to polish and maintain that armor for him. She was just like me so many years ago, blinded by shiny armor that really was just foil. Lies and playing pretend was all he really gave me, and I fear that this is going to be her outcome as well. The other side of that coin is that she deserves this. You had an affair with my husband. You read in my letter that this wasn't the first time I suspected he was unfaithful, yet you think it will be different with you. Come on, sis. You're smarter than this. You gotta do better, girl. For real. After I picked up the boys, they gave me rave reviews about her and their father. It seems they were rightfully spoiled, while she and their daddy didn't yell or lose their patience, not even once. Amazing, huh? Let's see if you could keep that up, though, for real. My youngest asked me if this was his new sister, and I had to explain the concept of separation, divorce, and parents dating. Apparently, even with his girlfriend in the room, my ex avoided an actual conversation with our kids. So, while they won knockoff Marvel prizes at the arcade with her and their dad, it seems she has won the biggest knockoff prize of them all. My first second. A little while back, I sat in my home in silence. The children were gone, and I was in a partial meditation trance thinking about what my future was going to look like. I'm 38, I have two kids, a job, friends, some gray hair peeking through from my temples, a tight family, future schooling for my third degree, a mortgage, cellulite, and a kind but damaged heart. Where do I go from here? And more importantly, who would want to go out with me? Dating was easy when I was in my 20s. My skin was tight, I could be spontaneous, everything I owned fit perfectly, and going out at 11 p.m. for a date and drinks was totally doable and normal. Not that girl anymore. So, how does a woman like me meet a man that will like me? Because I am lost. Same sister. Are there bars, nightclubs, pottery painting? I've seen speed dating on TV. Does that really exist, or is that only reserved for sitcoms? So reluctantly, I Googled How to date in your 30s. Some of you have probably beaten me to the punchline, but the answer was right in front of me. Online dating. I cringed. Having no real reason not to, I created an online dating profile. I filled in all the blanks, set my preferences, uploaded a few pictures where the outfits fit right and the lighting is superb, and I published the page. I walk away from my phone full of nervous energy and grab a snack of chocolate to help. After I eat out of pure anxiety, I return to my phone. I have a message from the app. I'm afraid. I ignore it out of fear and, strangely, guilt. Fear that he may be a serial killer, and guilt because while my ex has moved on, I feel guilty that I'm still legally married and on a dating site. So I do the only logical thing next. I go to bed. I lay in bed and try to remember what a first date is really like. The awkward hello, is it a handshake, a hug, a kiss on the cheek, a full open mouth sloppy kiss, this cumbersome chit chat, this weather is crazy, read any good books lately, wow, how about them Mets? And of course, the uncomfortable goodbye. I don't know how I'm even going to do this, or if I can. Do you talk about your ex? Do you avoid it like the plague? Do you be no nonsense and get right to the good and bad of yourself to not waste time? Because honestly, who is the time to casually date at this age? I tell myself to go to sleep, figuring eventually I'll listen. I wake to sunlight, the hum of the AC, and the pinging phone. I have a text from my mother and 14 messages from the dating site. This has to be a mistake. I must have put the wrong age or been too lenient with my preferences. I scroll through message after message and see that all these men are sharing the same thing. They're interested in learning more about me. I sift through profiles like they are resumes for a job, and I land on 3 potential candidates, all around my age and location, all divorced, all wishing to converse with me. My nerves have not transitioned to excitement, but peppered with a bit of anxiety. This is it. I'm doing it. Officially jumping into the deep, dark dating pool. After a few days of chatting with all 3, I solidified my suitor. Soon I will be engaging in my first second date. Wish me luck. Gaslighting and overreaction. Today my ex dropped off the kids after having them for a few days. He told me yesterday he'd be dropping them off at noon. Then when 1 o'clock arrived, I was a bit worried. All my texts to him were answered with 1 or 2 word answers. That's strange for him to do. I get a text at 1:45 that he's on his way and that his mistress is with him. What? I was never informed that she would be here with the kids. I have no idea if she has been here the whole time or just flew in today, but I was furious. I don't care if it's her or anyone else. I want to know who my children will be around, period, point blank. So they arrive and I let her into my home. While he sorts through mail, she stands there awkwardly in my foyer. So I say, I will just tell both of you since you are here. If the kids are going to be around her or anyone else, I want to know. I support your relationship and I'm happy that you two are here with them. I just want to know beforehand and not after the fact. He looked offended. He smushed his face almost in disbelief. She stood like a statue, still, and refused to make eye contact with me. But I understand her position. She was in enemy territory, and then I hit her with a bomb. I'm not mad at her. She probably had no idea he didn't tell me. Maybe he lied and said that he did. Who knows? But she's a mom, and I'm sure she gets my point, whether she agrees or not. But I don't actually care if she agrees or not, because I'm the mom. My issue is with him. I know I'm right. I know it should be a non-discussion, common sense, if you will. But no, he left being very cold to me and I started to second guess my decision to say something. Did I let my emotions get the best of me, or did he gaslight me and make me feel like I'm crazy? Did they think that because we had one good meeting that she had the green light to play stepmom now? Publicizing paradise. Newlyweds always look forward to their honeymoon. White sandy beaches, tropical drinks with little umbrellas, sex all day long, all night long. Paradise, right? Well, my ex and I never took one. We were in the process of buying a house and we couldn't afford to do both. Well, I say we were buying a house, but in reality, it was me. I put the 20% down, and the mortgage and deed is in my name because he was broke and had terrible credit. But he said he was okay with skipping the honeymoon and that when we were married for 10 years, we could take a honeymoon together. Super sweet, right? Well, we booked the Bahamas trip for August of 2020, but the pandemic had other plans. Then, as you all know, him and the mistress started their relationship in September of 2020. Well, this weekend he took her on our honeymoon trip. A lot of really crappy things have happened since I found out about the affair in November, but this one really hurt. I gave this man 13 years of my life, 2 kids, a home, bought him 2 cars, made countless meals for him, stayed up with newborns and sick children, shuttled the kids to activities, etc. And my reward for years of doing literally everything was him taking her on our honeymoon. He really twisted the knife he plunged into me with this one. So this past weekend, I unplugged, took the boys to the beach, and we had our own mini vacation. I was keeping myself occupied and spent time making memories with my boys. Saturday evening, after the boys are in bed, my phone rings. It's my ex-mother-in-law. She's probably just checking up on the kids, I think. A bit of a backstory. They've had a rocky relationship over the years, and he does not speak to her for things that I found out later were mostly just lies and stories that he makes up. Anyway, I ignored the call because I just didn't feel like chatting. A few minutes later, my ex-sister-in-law calls me. So now I think something's wrong, and I answer, and she's concerned and angry. Are you okay? What's going on? Have people been calling you? I was so confused. Well, as it turns out, his mistress took a picture of them together in the Bahamas, posted it to her Facebook, and tagged my ex-husband. What? I was in complete shock. Okay, let me explain. A lot of people don't know about our situation. And to be honest, I haven't told a lot of extended family, most of my coworkers, or even some of my closest friends about it. He was so paranoid about his family finding out because they would be upset, especially his grandmother, who believes that he's the golden child. So there it is, out on social media for all the world to see. Our shared family members, my coworkers, my friends, I was livid. He took away all possibilities of us salvaging our marriage with this affair. My hands were tied. He was in love with somebody else. Fine. Now he took away my privacy, though. My marital status is now out there for everybody to know. Again, I'm stripped of my ability to make a decision for myself and to tell people that I cared about on my own when I was ready to. I went through my phone and I saw I had missed calls from 2 of my coworkers and 1 of my friends. I can only assume that that's why they called. I haven't called them back yet because I don't know what to say. I'm separated. Yeah, I didn't want to tell people till I was legally divorced. Yeah, he has a girlfriend. Sure, I would tell the story and live through that pain again and again and again. No problem. So I confronted him via text message. His response, we're divorced in everything but paperwork. You've gone on dates and you're living your life just like I am. What? You mean the only thing that really signifies a divorce is the one thing we don't have? What an idiot. And yes, I've gone on a handful of dates, but I'm not posting about each one to social media and sending selfies to our family and friends. Look, I get it. You're in a relationship and you're happy, and that's great. All I'm asking for is a little respect. You publicizing your vacation with her also affects me, but I guess you have to give a shit first to recognize that. Today, when I go to pick my boys up from his apartment, I'm going to tell him my plan in which I require his signature. And I really hope he doesn't fight me on this one because it's what's best. Home sweet home. Months ago, when we started the mediation process, there was a great deal of negotiating. We both flip-flopped on our wants and made compromises. One thing I was never willing to compromise, though, was retaining the house in the divorce. I made concessions and declined alimony, but never wavered on the house. It was agreed that the house would be 100% mine and that there would be no alimony. Now, because my ex was so done with the mediation process and looking forward to his new life, he never took the time to have the house properly assessed. Instead, he opted to just take a number off an outdated website and use that as our base point to figure out the value of the home. He's such an idiot. Our mediator did the numbers based on what we owe on the house and what our profits would be. Then she figured out what alimony over a period of time would be, and it was close to what his profit for the house would have been. So he agreed to the arrangement, but the home value was inaccurate. He didn't know that, but I did. So now that our divorce agreement is filed into the court, he has me owning the house, which is only in my name, by the way. I had to have him sign off that I could sell it before the divorce was finalized and that he could not retain any of the profit from the sale of the home. He came over to pick up the boys and I talked to him about it a little. I explained how the move would help our boys as we would go live with my mother, who lives in a fabulous school district. It would also help me not to struggle financially and allow me to return to school for my third degree without having to worry about tuition or childcare. Our kids would have round the clock care from me and my retired parents, and they'd be close to their cousins who also live in that town. He agreed it was a good idea, signed the paperwork, and left. And then I immediately sent that paperwork to my lawyer. A weight had been lifted off my shoulders. The next morning, I waked to a long text message from him. With time to think and time to speak to his girlfriend properly, he became very angry and accused me of making selfish decisions that weren't best for the boys. The red eye. Back in May of this year, I made the custody schedule that my ex and I currently follow. Took into consideration all of his visits out to see her, and I structured a fair and equal schedule, I believe. Again, that was in May. He left on Wednesday evening to go visit her, and he was set to take a red eye home last night, Sunday, and then pick up the boys this morning. I confirmed the pickup times before he left and even during the day on Sunday. Then I awake to this message. I confirmed the pickup times before he left and even during the day on Sunday. Then I awoke to this message today telling me that he was stuck and he'd be late to get the boys. While I was not happy, he seemed sincere, and I understand that flights are currently unpredictable. I had appointments scheduled for today and plans this evening, which I had to reschedule. I had to also explain to the boys that the schedule for today has now changed. I told him he should probably avoid red eyes moving forward, to which he agreed. Again, I'm relaying all of this to you very calmly, but I was very frustrated and annoyed this morning. Then I retold the story to my sister, and she commented, "It seems weird that he got the same exact flight time. Sunday flight schedules are usually different than Mondays." She was right. So I look up the airport he was flying out of, and there was no delayed or canceled flight scheduled for that time on Sunday evening. He was lying. He never scheduled a flight for Sunday. He was always due to return Monday evening. He just didn't bother to tell me. When I called him out on it and asked for his flight cancellation information, he just sent the new flight for this evening and said he wasn't going to get into this with me today. You know what that is? That is excuse 101 for "you caught me in a lie." Believe me when I tell you. I'm not explaining myself to you. I don't have to tell you what's going on in my life. I don't have to answer to you. You know what that all is? That is your clear cut sign. They're probably lying to you. Instead, he just insisted I was crazy and failed to provide any evidence that he was in fact telling the truth, because he wasn't. This is a great example of what he does. On the exterior, he's kind and apologetic, but deep down, he's manipulative and sneaky. Then, when I call him on his bullshit, he's defensive and dismissive. I'm frustrated because he's always telling me we need to communicate better, and meanwhile, he still refuses to do so. Do as I say, not as I do. Wonder if the girlfriend knows he did this. I doubt it. This woman is welcoming this pathological, manipulative liar into her life, and she has no idea. I honestly feel bad for her, but I guess it's what you get when you knowingly poach a cheater. He's probably telling her that I'm going off on him and for a completely different reason, always making me the bad guy. I feel a bit defeated actually because I know while he lives here and we share this custody arrangement, he will continue to take advantage and manipulate me. He gaslights me into thinking that I'm the crazy one. It's a cycle that I don't know how to break. The part that angers me more than anything, though, if he would have told me before he left that he needed an extra day, I would have been accommodating to him, even though he never accommodates me. Or I would have booked appointments or made evening plans. I would have said okay and told him I like to just track. No, I would have said okay and told him I'd like to just tack on an extra day somewhere for me. No harm, no foul. Why couldn't he just do that? Why build a story about being at the airport most of the night, talking to flight reps for 2 hours, trying to get earlier flights that were booked or expensive? Why? Why are you doing any of this? What and who are you protecting? I honestly don't understand his motivation or his reasoning. All I know is that I need this behavior to stop so I can go on with my life. Money matters. First and foremost, let me just say the audacity of my ex will never cease to amaze me. With that being said, let's talk money. January 2020, my ex and I created an MSA, Marital Settlement Agreement. This MSA had me declining alimony and keeping the house. Then, come March 2020, he wants to change the MSA to a different custody arrangement, not for the house or other assets. June 2020, we signed our MSA, but in our state, once the paperwork is served to the defendant, they have 30 days to contest the MSA. Spoiler, he didn't contest. July 2020. I decide I want to sell the house, so I have him sign another legal document waiving his right to the home and any equity or profit from the sale. Now we fast forward to September of 2020. He wants the house. I swear this man makes his own rules. Luckily, I had already hired a lawyer, and she explained to me that his chances of getting the house now are non existent, but that he could fight the relocation of the kids. She explained that that would be a lengthy procedure and very expensive on both of our ends. I know for a fact my ex is struggling financially, so I call his bluff. I told him to get a lawyer. I could prove financially that I need to sell the house. I can also show they are moving to a far better school district, will be attending school with their cousins, have more opportunities for extracurriculars, and will have round the clock care from their grandparents. I took the children to see their new school, and it was actually quite amazing. The kids are so excited to go to their new school. I have all the chips stacked in my favor. Also, our MSA has him tentatively moving out of state at some point. Why would a judge agree to keep them closer to their dad if he's going to be leaving soon? His defense for the relocation, it's a long drive. Really? The commute went from 12 miles to 28 miles. I didn't move across the state. Is it convenient? No. I get that. But it's not impossible. He suggested the boys start their new school in January. January? January? Why? He said they should stay in the house until it's sold. This suggestion makes no sense. If the commute is your issue, how does that commute change in January? Other than it doesn't. Newsflash, it doesn't. It makes zero sense to have the kids start a routine only to pull them out of that routine. They will start a new school and be behind on whatever curriculum that's currently being taught. So, I thought about it. What is his motivation to push for January? Then I realized his lease is up in March, so he's probably moving to her state. So a commute from January to March is much easier than a commute from September to March. Once again, a decision made in his best interest and not in the children. I do think that he sees the odds are not in his favor on this one, and he stopped fighting me for now. So, money. It makes the world go round, right? It apparently makes my divorce more complicated as well. My ex, since learning I would be selling the house, has asked me on different occasions for 5,000, then 10,000, then 15,000. Now with the threat of lawyers, 20,000. Did you eat paint chips as a kid? Because you're seriously delusional. You are entitled to nothing. Zero. If I give you a dime, it's because I want to, and you can't give me a dollar amount that I'm gifting you. It's my money, buddy. I told him I'm no longer entertaining talks of money with him. He knows he's at my mercy, and I kind of like it. Lastly, I received a Facebook message on August 23rd, which I never saw because the person was not my friend. I saw it yesterday, and lo and behold, it's the girlfriend's ex husband, and he tells me, "Hi, it's Mike. How are you? I feel like we should talk. Maybe we can help each other figure some things out. Just wanted to reach out and see if you want to talk about anything. I'm not really that surprised." They talked for years. Wow, plot twist. I've heard terrible stories about him, but the girlfriend has heard terrible stories about me, which were untrue. Could she be as big of a liar as my ex? Could her ex know more than I do about the affair when it comes to the timeline? Maybe he knows a move date. I feel like this is a conversation that I should entertain. The ex husband. My life, as usual, has been a bit upside down between moving, selling the house, starting back to in person school, and my graduate program. I don't know if I'm coming or going. But of course, I made time to speak with the mistress's ex husband. First of all, I was told that this man is a terrible person, a drunk, a gambler, a womanizer, etc. And stupid me, I listened. But now I can hear the other side of the story. One that isn't tainted by my ex and his mistress. I learned so much, so forgive me if it seems all jumbled. I had just have no idea where to start. So, in a nutshell, here is what I learned. He did have a drinking problem, but he got sober in 2017. This is 2021. So that's 4 years ago. The ex husband has known that they have talked for years, and unlike me, knew there was a romance brewing. I learned that my ex met her a few years ago for dinner when she was in the area for work, and he told her that he loved her. She told her ex, and he said he knew at that moment something would happen with them eventually, and he shut down emotionally with her. That was the beginning of the end for him. He confirmed my notion that she liked to be fawned over. He suspects she entertained my ex for the attention. Gross, right? Anyways, they were not meshing and grew apart. They did not divorce in September of 2020, as I was told, but instead they separated at that time and weren't legally divorced until March of 2021. Even grosser, right? She raked this man over the coals financially as well. She closed out their joint account and took all the money, then filed for divorce. She's a peach, isn't she? She brought up his 2017 rehab stint to get full custody with supervised visitations for him. She's also introducing him to her family and friends as her new boyfriend. She's introducing my ex to her family and friends as her new boyfriend and leaving out the affair and the fact that he's still married. The ex husband is apparently still friendly with her family and some friends and wants to make sure that this fact becomes common knowledge. Justified exposure, and I'm here for it. The ex also thought my ex was already living in their state and was not aware he was staying in her house with her when he visits. Spoiler, it's his house, not hers. He also was not aware till he found me on Facebook that we had children together. Apparently, this was an important detail for the mistress to bring up when she mentioned my ex to him. He also confirmed that she's a spender. Money is like water, and she will probably bleed my ex dry. We ended our hours long text chain with a job for each other. He is tasked with finding out the official move date for my ex, and he would like to know when he is traveling to their state and staying in their house. I had a rather expensive phone call with my lawyer the other day. It turns out he can challenge the MSA for the house, but it will be a long process, and the divorce will probably be finalized by the time that it goes through. She also said the timing isn't good as he had his 35 days to dispute the MSA, and he has waited until after I put the house on the market to fight for it. She assures me the judge will see this as a backpedaling money grab on a legal document that we both agreed to and will not support it. As for my relocation, he can also dispute that, but I officially live in this new town and have completely moved out of my house. My ex claims I violated my MSA with legal custody, enrolling them in a new school. My lawyer again reminded me I am the custodial parent, and if I moved, they have to go to school wherever I live. He's still pushing for the 20K, and my lawyer is confident that he has zero grounds for receiving it and will ultimately give up this fight as it's an expensive legal process, and he is currently in the red financially. Oh, get this. The boys had their first day of school on Thursday, September 9th, and I was going to pick them up from my ex's place on September 8th to bring them with me so that they can have a fresh start in the morning. The evening of September 8th was technically his night to have them, but he agreed to let me take them days prior. Plus, then he won't have to make his commute. So he sends me a text claiming that 9/8 was his night and he would like to keep them home on their first day of school, unless I agree to the $20,000. Excuse me? Did you just hold my children prisoner for a check? Are you admitting truancy? I told my lawyer this and she balked. He says this will be the first screenshot she presents if and when we go to court. Bottom line, nothing is in his favor. His mistress is trying to squeeze me like she did her ex. But, baby girl, you don't know me, so obviously you don't know who you're fucking with. Playing the long game. Have you ever seen A Bronx Tale? It's a classic coming of age mafia drama with a touch of romance and a dash of racial tension. Lately, I've been thinking about this film much more. There's a scene in the movie in which the young protagonist is angry at a kid who has not paid him back $20 that he lent him. Sonny, the wise crime boss, father figure, asks him, "Was he a good friend of yours?" And the young man replies, "No, I don't even fucking like him." So Sonny tells him, "There's your answer right there. Look at it this way. It cost you $20 to get rid of him. He's out of your life forever." I keep circling back to this scene because I feel like it is so relevant to me now. My wish, as selfish as it may seem to some, has always been that my ex would move away and leave my boys and I to move on peacefully. Is it possible that by giving him a check that I could make this happen? Again, I'm just toying with this idea. I know my ex. I know what he ultimately wants, and that's to leave and start a life with her. If I give him money, I would be financing his move out of my life. Let me explain how I know this to be true. Last week, when we argued about money and he asked for a ridiculous sum of 20K to pay for his expenses of shuffling the boys back and forth and wear and tear on his car, I called his bluff. I told him I'd give him 20K, but stipulated that he can't move out of the state for 2 years. If he really wanted the money to pay for commuting expenses for the kids, like he claims, he would have snatched this deal, but he didn't. So I know he has no intention of staying. So if, and I said if, I decide to give him money, it would only be carried out after he signs a legal document stating that he's receiving a one-time payment. I have been more open to this idea because, number one, I want him to go. Number two, my house is under contract and I'm receiving well over asking price. If he moves out of state, he owes me close to $1,000 a month in child support, and I'll make my initial investment back in no time. But I also hate the idea. This man bet it all and won. I was the victim and I lost, and I feel like I keep losing. I know I'm playing the long game here, and years from now, when the mistress bleeds him dry and or cheats again, because he will, and or my kids grow and learn what he did and don't want to be a part of him, I will have won. But I feel like for that to happen, I have to take some lumps now. I'm going all 3 rounds and the bell hasn't even rung for the end of the first. I have a lot of thinking and talking to my lawyer to do. Is it another loss for me to give him the money, or is it just another of my elaborate yet patient plans like the one that started this months ago? I'm still debating. Father of the Year. Sometimes, and only sometimes, my life shocks even me. I sit back and look at the situation and think, this poor girl. How did she ever get here? Then I snap back to reality and realize this poor girl is me. Just when I think the worst has been done and I've seen it all, another event surprises me even more. It's like I'm walking around in a complete state of disbelief and my jaw is locked in an open and stupefied position. 4 very short days ago, I actually had a moment of weakness and entertained the idea of giving him what he wanted yet again and signing a check over to him. And then, just to kick myself in the pants, today happens, and now there's zero doubt in my mind. He will never see anything from me, and that's the only thing he will ever be able to take to the bank. Okay. Wednesday and Thursday night, according to this month's custody schedule that he made, he were supposed to be his overnights. He told me a few days ago that he had to be in work early Friday morning and asked if I could drop off the boys Thursday evening and lose his night with them due to work. I said okay and we keep it moving. Today, Friday, while I'm at work, I get a text from the mistress's ex-husband. The mistress texted him to warn him that my ex would be there at 8 a.m. Saturday morning to watch their oldest child's sports practice. She wanted to give her ex a heads up and asked him to be respectful. This would be the first time that they would meet. Her ex isn't thrilled about it, and I don't blame him, but her ex texted me to give me the heads up that he wasn't in their state. But wait, how could this be? He had to go to work this morning. He usually works from home, and there's no way he could be there. So I thought about it. How could I figure out that he took a flight this morning or potentially after work today? Then I remembered he has my Easy Pass in his car. So I returned to my Nancy Drew days of yore and logged into my account. And there it was. He left his apartment at the first toll at 5:58 a.m. and exited at the toll for the airport at 6:03. Yes, it's a short distance, especially at 6 a.m. This was not the direction he needed to head in for work. He obviously boarded a plane this morning, so he gave up an evening with his kids on a night he scheduled to go see his mistress and her children and then lied to me about it. Just to be at her son's practice and eat dinner with them and not his own children. So I call him multiple times. No answer. Shocker. And I get sent to voicemail most of the times as well. And I text him. He reads, but he doesn't respond. Then he finally responds to me about 3 hours later and says he was on a plane and wasn't ignoring me and he didn't board until after he was done with work, which was at 1 p.m. Then I tell him I've seen the Easy Pass. He reads my messages and he doesn't respond. He's been caught. He has no defense. Caught in a time-stamped lie. How can you defend yourself from that? Spoiler, he can't. But honestly, I'm so happy. He helped me make my decision about the money. For the tiniest second, I thought we were going to reach common ground and be amicable. That we've established mutual respect and that moving forward we were going to be adults. Ha! Stupid me. He's an idiot and he's incapable of that. So I deactivated the Easy Pass and have fun paying your tolls on your way home. He's broke and can't afford a lawyer's retainer, so he just paid a fee to have a document drafted that asks for the 20K. I'm supposed to sign it and return it to him. I told my lawyer to ignore the letter. It's not a filed motion, it's a letter asking, no, begging for money he doesn't deserve. So it will be ignored. Want to take me to court? Pay a lawyer like I did. And then, after you wasted money that you don't have on a case that I have checked and double checked that I can't lose, and maybe you'll see how royally screwed you really are. Chess game. At about 10:30 this morning, I had texted him. I didn't want to. I wanted to start keeping him at arm's length. But I had to make sure he was picking the boys up from school. So I texted him and asked him about confirmation. He seemed confused as to why I needed confirmation. Perhaps it's because you're irresponsible piece of shit and completely unpredictable. I had questions for him about why he lied, but I realized asking would be futile. He would just lie or gaslight or even ignore. So I decided to do the same. Why am I jeopardizing my sanity? It's like pulling teeth, and honestly, all his teeth are rotten. But then, to my surprise, he starts interrogating me. He has questions about his mistress's ex. Well, apparently, her ex spoke to her and stated that he questioned my ex's character since he's still married. Her response? They separated before we did. Lie. And their paperwork has been in the courts for over a year waiting to be processed. Lie. I think I see why my ex and her get along so well. Literally made for each other. Anyway, her ex knew when we separated and that we're still married because I told him. So he retorted that we've only been separated since December of 2020, and this is why men can't be trusted. Not all men, not all men. I trusted her ex with a little bit of info, and our cover is blown. My ex wanted to know how he knew this, since apparently me, him, and the mistress are the only ones who knew that we're still legally married. Oh, what's wrong, honey? Are you afraid that people will find out your dirty little secret? Her friends and family will find out that she's a husband stealer. Yikes, that won't help the perfect little image you have now, will it? My ex claimed that his girlfriend's ex is scum, unsafe, can't be trusted, and if I'm talking to him, then I need to stop. Wait, hold up. Did you just try to tell me what to do? That's cute. I'm sorry, you must have me confused with someone who has to listen to you. Because I know damn well that I'm not that person. So I ask, why does it matter if I talk to him? I didn't choose to have children with him. If he's so unstable, her procreating with him is more unsafe than me speaking to him. This sounds like a her problem and not a me problem. Again, I think him saying he's unsafe for the children is using her kids as the scapegoats. I think they are just afraid of their dirty laundry being aired. Concerning the neglecting of our kids to hop on a plane to her state, he claims that I have it all wrong. Of course I do. Morning, here comes the lies and gaslighting. He claims he drove to the airport in the morning, boarded mass transit, and headed to work, then returned to the airport and hopped on a plane. Are you crazy? This is the craziest thing that I've ever heard. Not to mention, he lives in a commuter town, closer to the city he works in than the actual airport. How does this even make sense? My reply, listen, it doesn't matter. I don't ever expect you to be honest, and that's fine. You've lied to me for over a decade, and I don't expect any of that to change. It doesn't matter. It's his issue now, not mine. Then he went on to defend himself, claiming he hasn't lied about a thing. A dear friend told me he thinks he's playing you and winning, but he's playing this game alone. Not a competitor sitting across from him at a chessboard. Each time he thinks he's winning by dealing me a blow, he's actually hurting himself. Every lie he makes, it's a little bit easier for me to not give a shit. Every stupid, selfish thing he does only helps my case against him. He's playing a chess game by himself, and every winning move is a loss. Only once the divorce is finalized and the chessboard is cleared will he see that his king has fallen and the pieces are mine. Checkmate. All right, guys. I think I am going to stop this here because it's really, really long and there is a lot more. But I'm usually really good with publishing them back to back, so don't worry about that. Okay? If you guys are still here, thank you. I love you and I appreciate you so very much. Please like, subscribe, and comment if you haven't yet and you feel so inclined to, because it really helps me out. I really appreciate it. And until next time, stay safe out there.